I am calling to order the Connecticut State Advisory Council for Special Education Executive Committee meeting, October 11th, 2023 at 11:11, that's good luck, a.m. My name is Susan Yankee and I am the council chair, and I believe we have a change to the agenda to add past minutes. Jennifer?
Yes, I'll make a motion that we amend the agenda to include past minutes.
I'll second.
That was Catherine to second it. Great. Abstentions? Anyone who didn't attend? No? Okay. All in favor of approving this change to the agenda? That's everybody, I think, Jolie? Wonderful. Okay, so we will be amending the agenda for today to include July 11th approval of minutes. Is there anyone here for public comment? No. Okay. Consent agenda. The September 5th and July 12th, 2023 SAC Executive Committee meeting minutes need to be approved. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Okay. Would someone like to make a motion for the approval of the minutes?
I'll make a motion for the approval of the minutes.
Okay, Catherine, a second. Jennifer, I think it has to be, because I don't think Nachi was here. Abstentions from those who didn't attend the meeting? And that's Nachi. Wonderful. Okay, all in favor of approving the minutes of the September 5th and July 12th Executive Committee meetings? All right.
I attended the first one, but not the second one.
Okay, so Nachi approves one, but not the, thank you. Okay, the minutes of the September 5th and July 12th, 2023 Executive Committee meeting minutes are approved. Okay, committee matters. The October 25th full council meeting agenda planning. Brian, what would I know we asked for an overview of, we're really going to work hard on priorities and recommendations, correct?
Sure, yeah, I can share my screen if you'd like, and we can kind of start to work through the agenda and make sure that we hit any topics that you are would like to focus on. Is that coming through okay?
Yes.
Okay, so the 25th is one of our longer meetings. Typically we'll have a break, a little bit of a longer break in between. And so we are in person at CREC, but also we'll have an option for folks to, join us via Zoom link. So that's something that we can make sure that we communicate out to the members for those that aren't able to be there in person. We'll have to figure out how we're going to organize that. We held a session there previously, and the sound was good, and I think folks could see the room. They have a pretty good visual of the room, but we'll just have to make sure that technology is all set in advance for folks that can't be there in person.
And Brian, just to interject quickly, I have a member of the public that asked me to ask at this meeting because they want to come and do public comment. How would they do that with the live? I told them that with the, with not the live stream, with us, how can they do it virtual? And I said that it comes up 24 hours. I gave them the website link. And then they wondered how they can watch the remainder of the meeting. And I didn't know how we did that.
Yeah, so go ahead, Jolie.
Oh no, I just thought I thought the person wanted to come in person.
I don't know if are you talking about the same person?
Yeah, I thought I first heard the comment as they were looking to attend in person.
Yes, but it's in Hartford and they're not sure, so they were
Gotcha.
wondering how they would do it online.
Okay, gotcha. So that would be the matter of just accessing the link to see the live stream, because anytime we would have the live stream, but any of our group work we cut off, so they would not be like when we go into not cut off, but we stop the recording, in our breakout session.
But the live stream wouldn't work for public comment because that's just viewing. They could view the entire meeting on live stream, but then call in during the public comment so that they could be heard if they're not there in person. If they're there in person, obviously that's easy. They would just, we would just have a space for them and they could make their comment. We've handled that a couple of different ways. When we had the name cards, we used to have a name card for for public comment, and folks would then come up to the semicircle or around the table and make their comments, and then there was space in the for participants to stay if they would like for the entire meeting. But for the live stream, we have a number, right, that's available to the public where they can call in.
Okay. All right.
So we just have to make sure we have the phone for correct. That's all. When we're scheduling, we just have to it's already scheduled. So it's a matter of always us having we've always had the option of them to call in when we're in an in-person meeting. So that's part of the technology. I make sure that is available to us, a phone.
So they would call in, they would not be seen virtually. They would not be seeing us.
I mean, it's.
Yeah, they wouldn't. The other option is that they would join via the link that the hybrid link that we're going to provide for all of our members, which we can do also as an option. It's just there's a variety of options on our agenda. We always include a number to call in, just like this one, for the public. So that's option 1. Option 2 is in person. Option 3 is the link. Once we have the link, then we can include that. So there's 3 different options depending on what the person's comfortable doing.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, and then I assume we mute them so they don't participate for the rest of the.
Oh, we would just let them know that that they're when it's time for public comment, they would unmute, share their public comment, and then they're welcome to stay on for the remainder of the meeting. But
that's what I have done in the past, Susan. I usually let them know because it was maybe a couple times where the technology of the phone just wasn't clear. So at one point early on, like probably around when COVID, started, I had switched someone just so we can hear them. And I just let them know, that their time, we'll let them know when they can comment and basically just give them a heads up to be ready around that time. Cause they're not usually around, I try to give them a heads up of when public comment should be too, so that they are
we'll
on
have that on the agenda. Yeah,
Yep.
it'll be up front. So that'll
Thank you.
be easy to navigate. Yeah. And then they're kind of in a listen only mode from that point on in the meeting.
Cool.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for clarifying
Absolutely.
that. Sorry.
That's great. Yeah, no, we're looking forward to, I mean, we haven't had much public comment, in the past. So anytime that we can, provide, any way, shape or form for public to join in, that the better. So we want it definitely to be accessible.
Thank you.
So for the consent agenda, we have the September minutes that will be up for approval, and then moving into the work groups for 23-24 around LRE and restraint and seclusion. The special education task force, I know there was supposed to be a meeting yesterday that was canceled and to be rescheduled. So there hasn't been a task force meeting since the last full SAC meeting, but that was at the end of the State Advisory Council meeting. So there's a little bit of an update probably there for the full council to say, right now all the subcommittees are working on the recommendations for the February report, and that the special ed task force is working on a consensus protocol for the proposals that are coming out of the subcommittee. So we can just do a very brief kind of overview of that last meeting. And then I don't know if you thought it would be valuable to share at that last meeting, the superintendents, there were 3 superintendents that presented their perspective and recommendations for the task force. So
I haven't been able to find that link actually, because I was not at that meeting.
I can send it to you because they forwarded it to me because I missed that. And Susan, our work group met. And since our work group, they added to us the restraint and seclusion. piece, that's something that we wanted to bring to like the work group and to the larger SAC for when we make recommendations from that group.
Right. I think they're going to lean heavily on us for those recommendations because I feel like because of the task force has so many things that they have to handle in a brief time. So I think they're going to be, okay, that's wonderful. And then Jennifer and I discussed the work groups already about possibly having the first one be both groups together for an hour. And then breaking out, and then after that, having the separate groups. And then I guess, Jolie, you want us to go through you to arrange those?
So you're talking about scheduling these meetings separate from the full council?
Yeah, the work groups, the SAC work groups. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, so actually, the work groups are just meant to enhance what we're doing. The work groups, I mean, we want to discuss LRE and restraint and seclusion with a full SAC, but we had created 2 work groups, and Jennifer and I thought it'd be too much if there are people that are on both for the first meeting to just have it at one time. Does that make sense?
Or it could be
I'm
something
not following.
I think we could talk about that at this meeting, Susan, because we're going to be talking about the priorities, and then when we can talk about planning the meeting, the people that are there.
Yeah, so maybe we don't need that on the executive committee report until we get to priorities, or because it's not clear. Because we already have people signed up for both groups, and I cajoled Mr. Kosker to join one of them. So we're going to add his name to whichever one he ends up on. So maybe not put that on the first part and put that like as a bottom part for when we do the priority review, or, oh wait, we only have 15 minutes for priority review?
This is the last agenda that we're revising, so just don't pay any attention. It's just for us to kind
I'm
of
not looking, Brian.
Yeah, no, we're just revising the last one as we go through here. So just for clarity for me, so these aren't priority areas, but they're areas that the executive committee has designed work groups for. You have people that are initially interested, but you haven't had your first meeting yet. So did you want to just summarize and refresh?
I thought they were priority. Am I wrong? I thought they were priority areas. Am I?
No, I think they are, but I think like restraint and seclusion is like a subgroup in one of the priority areas.
Right, because it's social, emotional, mental health of students, which restraint and seclusion is not small, but is a part of, but it's not. When we list our 4 priorities, the work groups, these work groups are they meant, let me ask this way. The work groups are not ad hoc committees. So we decided to distinguish ad hoc committee versus a work group to say that there's, a group of a subgroup of the full committee that are very interested in, kind of discussing these topics further and putting some recommendations forward to the full SAC, right? So as a way to take a deeper dive into some of the priority areas that you've identified.
Right, and because we recommended that there be some sort of task force or work group in legislate, they put in a work group to work on restraint and seclusion. I feel like that now we need to make sure that it is in our recommendations to the legislators and CSDE. I feel like it's taken a forefront step because of the last legislation that we kind of have to adjust and make sure that we're including it. Does that make any sense? That it seems like it's jumped to the forefront because they put it on the special education task force, and we're the ones who said, you really need this.
Yeah, so you're making sure that we are targeting some work towards that so that we can
Yes.
make recommendations to the task
Yeah.
force.
Yeah. I'm not saying, yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying, because we need to make sure that that is in the forefront and that we make recommendations to the task force. And then I guess that is in turn making a recommendation to the legislators.
So just for, that makes sense. During the meeting, are you carving out time during the meeting to do an activity related to these things, or just summarizing and that saying that there'll be future meetings outside of the full?
Number 2 of what you
Fine.
just said, summarizing and saying there'll be future
All right.
meetings.
Okay. So it's really just, okay. Work group. Do we have dates set yet or possibilities? Is that something that I know initially you had asked if that should go through Jolie, and it doesn't
said yes.
have to, but we're happy to help support that.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, we do not. Jennifer and I were discussing to do it before the next meeting, but we didn't think it would happen.
Mr.
Okay.
Jeff Spar's in the house.
Welcome, Jeff.
Hi, Jeff.
Yeah, it's all right. We'll give him a minute. He's probably
Hi.
doesn't realize he's muted.
Hello, hi.
Hi,
Hi,
Jeff.
Mr. Spar.
What'd I miss?
Well,
we're
you missed us checking on your name to see if it had an E in it or not. And I was right, Jeff.
Only one E, first E.
Right.
Yeah, you know
We're
how I
just
used to botch that up.
Just going through the agenda now, Jeff, and we're past public comment, talked about the executive committee report, of a brief overview of the special education task force, and now just having discussions around the working groups, for which there are 2, one for LRE, one for restraint and seclusion. During the full council meeting, it'll just be summarizing these groups and thanking folks who have already showed initial interest, and then talking about future meeting dates that will be set.
Well, thank you.
Well,
Jolie can at your office to pick as many people can be at one time.
Doodle. We don't use Doodle.
Okay.
Is that like a survey type thing, like a Qualtrics?
Yeah.
I think we use, if we're doing surveys on this end, I think we use Qualtrics, which that's something that our office would be more familiar with. I know how to do a poll through email, and I would have to look into any other options, but we don't use the Doodle option on this end, just because it's not anything that we purchased
yeah.
through the SDE to be able to use. Yep, that's all.
Susan,
Thank
I
you.
can send polls out for the invitations if that's what you're asking.
Yeah.
for.
Mhm. Yeah. So how about Jen, you and I get together at some point and we'll go over dates that you and I actually can be at things
Okay.
and then find some dates. Okay, great. Thank you.
Welcome. And just let us know, how you want those meetings supported, whether it's either in communication or if you want Sean or I present, or if so these aren't public meetings. These are
Sean.
they're working group meetings,
Yep.
but we're obviously happy to support them in any way that you would like us to.
Yep. If you
That
need
is
me to
so
send
wonderful.
emails, just let me know. I could send your emails out for you, whatever you need from us. Let us know.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Susan, anything else from the executive committee report?
Let me just quick 2 seconds. on
I
my
wasn't
notes.
at the last meeting, but I know that was there discussion about the annual report timelines for this upcoming legislative session?
No, we wanted to set those and
Okay.
and then usually executive committee, I kind of give the update on the LOB on which we're going to discuss today. I usually give the update on what's going on with the legislative breakfast, but I don't know if Jolie, if anything has moved on that with Representative Comey and you.
No, I just wanted to, I wanted us to identify which specific, I know we talked about possibly the January meeting or before I know there was a mention, I can't remember exactly what the February was mentioned for, but I believe that it was a comment from Laura that January to February would be best to schedule.
Yeah, I think we set on January 17th because we can still also get the LOB for our meeting.
Okay.
Right after.
Are we looking, so January 17th,
Mhm.
and that would be a breakfast. Do we have an idea of how long? Maybe
Hour, anybody? An hour?
yeah, I was thinking an hour, but you guys let me know just so I can reserve, have the room reserved for.
Brian, you've been to way many more of these than I have. It's like an hour and they come in and out.
Been to one. Yeah, so I would say that an hour is probably a good amount of time. We could even back up the start of the advisory council meeting, depending, you want to give people time to get into Hartford and you'd want the
Mhm.
legislators, to hopefully start populating in the building. So probably don't want to start too early, which may mean that you want to back up the start time of the advisory council meeting. I don't know, like I wouldn't recommend starting before 8:30 probably, or
I was
maybe
thinking a 9 to 10 and then
Mhm.
starting our meeting at like, say, give ourselves, our meeting at 10,
okay.
15, 10:30.
Can I just ask the format of the breakfast? I mean, are you planning to like present our annual plan at the breakfast? I mean, is there going to be like, you're going to do food and then present the annual plan? Like, I mean, I'm just thinking of like Connecticut Voices for Children and how they do their annual plan at that breakfast. I mean, so I'm just wondering if that's like the intent. So that's why
Right.
I'm just curious.
So Sean, as I said, you both probably been to way more, and if you found a format that works, that you think is the most seamless format, the only format that I've been a part of is having, basic pastries and coffee out, legislators kind of mill in and out, and then we have very clear, like the little brief one that your intern is making. We have very clear documents, right, that we give to the legislators, and just kind of talk to them for a couple of seconds. This is basically a we're here. If you have any questions, please reach out to us. But if you have a better, because I don't think what I experienced were legislators just came in and out at will. There was never like a set audience at any one time.
They could definitely come and go. I think, to Sean's point, the one that I was at, they did a very brief overview at the start.
Mhm.
So you wait until maybe 9 o'clock, you start and folks are in and you're welcoming and chit chatting, and then maybe at 10 after 9, the advisory council speaks to the legislatures about who you are, basically reviewing the one-page document. We are the state advisory council. Here's our role. We're looking to fill
Okay.
legislative positions. We're looking to, bring voice to the unmet needs of students with special needs across the state. And then to Sean's point, if we have the annual report done, maybe in like a very elevator speech hitting on the priorities and recommendation areas, and then
Mhm.
even having copies of the annual report, if we do have it in its entirety, would be awesome. We've talked about a snapshot of the annual report versus the full written report. So they can grab the Reader's Digest version and then the full report for further information and detail. And
Right.
then, like you said, then there's an opportunity to follow up or ask questions or things of that nature. And if the executive, I would suggest the executive board play a role in that presentation. Sean and I and Jolie are happy to support that in any way and or speak to, the role and the importance of the collaboration with the State Department of Education. And then, yeah, and then, like you said, just coffee and, a little bit of food, and then we can transition on to the meeting from there.
That's been my experience also. I mean,
Okay.
typically what there is there's kind of introductions and meetings right before, then there's kind of, there's the full report and an executive summary. I mean, and what they do is they present on the executive summary. And so with the executive summary, the legislature gets the whole presentation about like what the report is about. So they're able to walk away with the whole report, but they get the executive summary from the people who are presenting. And they're able to walk away with really good information about what has been gathered and what's being done by the committee. So they feel really good about what they're doing as far as work and what they're going to be participating in if they're about to join.
Great. And so Sean, do you think an hour is long enough? They can't give that much more time.
I would even say, typically these presentations only go for about 15 minutes and people can stay on if they want to. So the hour is good if you want to like have food available for people to stop in, but the presentation is only about 15 minutes.
Okay. Okay, wonderful. That sounds like a great format. Thank you. Wonderful. And then,
Awesome.
so then Jolie, we would need the room, and if you can connect with Representative Comey, we would need the room, probably breakfast room, but then we, for probably by 8:30. And then we would need to have a room in the legislative building for our meeting.
Yep, you got it.
And if you have any of that information before our October 25th meeting, that would be wonderful, because then I can include that.
Absolutely. I will
Okay.
reach out to her today.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, everybody.
Absolutely. Anything else, Susan, for the executive committee or others on the line?
Anybody?
I think it looks good.
Good.
No.
Awesome. Catherine, anything to highlight for membership?
Not at this meeting. I
Okay.
need to meet with the membership committee, so I'm going to be so super brief. I'm still waiting for a student application. I know I've talked about it for like half a year now, but I think that there really is potential with one particular student. But right now, I'll be so brief at the
Okay.
next meeting.
Do we have any leads on a paraeducator position? Because I know it's really hard. I talked to a few directors at Back to School, but everybody's so short-staffed that I think we might have some difficulty in getting that position.
No leads yet. Jen, I actually wanted to talk to my staff about it because they're in so many schools, and many of my staff do a lot of training for paraeducators. So I did want to talk to them to see if they were aware of anyone who might be interested, or if they knew someone who might be interested. So maybe I'll have some more information next month.
Yeah, I wasn't sure, like Brian, if you could send something out to the directors or superintendents, because I'm sure whoever it is would need to be released from work to be able to attend the meetings. So I don't know if that's an extra consideration that we have to take for their
Sure,
membership.
Yeah, I can send a feeler out in our weekly updates to directors, and or we communicate with superintendents on Tuesdays and Thursdays through the State Department newsletter. And then the other thought I had was reaching out to the Para Advisory Council. They have members, obviously, that participate in that group, but they may have other ways to reach out to membership for interest.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right, how are we doing here? So we're through membership, legislative.
And as you know, we have now joined the task force with some of our commentary. So Susan's going to be, I guess, working with the task force. But one of the things that was odd was when the Public Act was first passed, they wanted to talk about the school years. They set a certain time frame for school years, and so it was July 1 of 2016 to July 1 of 2020. And they kept on putting forward the task force each year because they were saying, oh, and we have to have this report by such and such a date. And they kept on moving the date forward to have it by such and such a date. So now, under the way the law is presently constituted, there's going to be an interim report from this task force due on January 1st of 2024, so this upcoming January, with the final report not due until the following July. But the weird thing was, it talks about the task force. It says there is established a task force to study issues relating to the provision and funding of special education in the state during the school years commencing July 1, 2016 to July 1, 2020. So though they kept on carrying forward the task force to make it more current as to when they're going to get the reports done, their target of what they're supposed to report on was they never changed those dates to make them current. So I had reached out to one of the representatives, Curry, and I said to him, I go, hey, you guys should be carrying forward the scope of your review too, because I don't want. And he's like, oh, he kind of wrote back and he said, well, our members are really, forward thinking, and we're gonna get to that. But I just would feel more comfortable if they had it in writing that it's going to be to what dates, because somebody could say, oh, well, that's not part of our charge. We don't have to go there. Anyhow, so I had suggested to him coming forward that in the new legislative session, they update the scope of the task force review. Did that make sense to everybody?
Yeah, I don't know if that's something you want to share that with the full council
No, I'm just kind of
because
updating
obviously,
you.
like,
I'm
we're the
updating you guys.
Yeah, oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, I don't know if the full council needs to, get to that level of detail other than what what Susan's going to be sharing up here. But if you wanted to emphasize that, you're welcome to. It's
No, I'm good.
I
just wanted
saw
to
the
tell you guys.
response, and essentially they said, there's two co-chairs, Fran Rabinowitz and Andy Feinstein, and the subcommittees are all working on current issues. And so I understand your point, especially with related to the fiscal information. I mean, that task in and of itself, if you read that, is a daunting task. But the special education task force has 3 subcommittees, one of which is a financial subcommittee, and I can tell you they're looking at current data. So
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So that was kind of more for you guys, just as an update. So
Yeah. But we appreciate the level of detail you're looking at that, because you wouldn't want, by the time the report comes out, you wouldn't want the information to be obsolete, obviously.
Right.
So that's real critical.
And if you don't see, as the session is going on, if you don't see that coming up as a change, I would reach out to Andrew and Fran, the chairs, because they're the ones who make the recommendations, right? Am I correct? And they can say, you just need to correct these dates. It seems like a simple thing. No?
The recommendations come from the full task force. The co-chairs definitely have a role in organizing and consolidating and helping us all come to consensus and so forth. The recommendations in the report won't have anything to do with the written language in the statute. So that would have to be a request that, that is made and an adjustment that's made. But
Right.
if I think Andy and Fran at some point were either copied on that correspondence, or if they're not, we can make sure they are aware of it, because in the handoff of the report, that could be something that is, fine-tuned. Just like last session when there were additional members added to the task force, and like Jeff saying, the date was changed. So I think I wouldn't be overly concerned with it, but it's good that it was brought to someone's attention.
I'm going to bring it to Andy's attention. He actually was the attorney we used.
Okay, where are we?
Into new business for so obviously we have the roundtable. For my report, I was going to provide an update around general monitoring and supervision, our annual performance reports for our school districts and determinations that were just disseminated. We have a new grant that we were awarded, the State Personnel Development Grant, expanding high quality IEP training with a specific focus on math. I've mentioned that a couple of times to the council, but we're getting ready to kick off the grant and we'll be receiving funds later this month. And then I was going to provide a few CT SEDS updates with year 2 of implementation and some of the newer modules that are being rolled out and the supports and structures in place. But this could be adjusted based on your recommendations and considerations or other areas that you'd like me to highlight. But I just kind of started with a few options for your feedback.
No, someone did share some very nice slides about the BRS and DDS early intervention pilot program that I thought that was interesting, but I think that doesn't come under you, correct?
Oh, it doesn't, but we'll definitely partnering with them on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. I think the only thing is in new business under 4, if I remember my Roman numerals from elementary school. It would be, I think that's where they taught us them. We just need to make sure we give enough time to review the priorities, because I think we haven't really touched on them in a while. And if ahead of time, if you could send that document, I know you guys were cleaning it up, that has our priorities and recommendations. I believe you were cleaning it up.
Yep.
Which document are you?
I believe the one that was that the one created at the our orientation?
July.
Yeah, the July
infographic.
document?
That one.
I think, or the one that you're always wonderfully typing in, adding our comments.
Okay.
Not the infographic from your intern, which I do like. I just want to make sure on that infographic we have priorities and the recommendations on the one side priorities, other side recommendations. I think the other side was just a duplicate.
You said the notes. Is that what you're referring to, Susan?
Yeah, the notes, all the notes that you were taking, that because you're always so wonderful at that. And I think Sean took over at one meeting being the wonderful note taker.
Notes for when we first set the priorities, the notes that we used to set the priorities.
Yeah, and then the discussions that we had a discussion after that at a following meeting, I believe.
Was that I wasn't at the last full council meeting, so that
Sean took the notes. I just want us to kind of know. I mean, I think I don't know about everybody else, but I totally need a review of what's been said, where we are, so that we can just kind of. I'd love to look at it ahead of time, and so that we can jump off and not like keep going over the same stuff, so we can just move forward. I don't know if anybody else needs a refresher, but I definitely do.
So are we gonna actually do work on the priorities, like have small discussions or something, or break up into groups?
Well, it's a longer meeting, so and there isn't much content so far. So we should have.
And then how do you do the breakout? Sorry, Brian, how do you do the? Would Missy run the multiple breakout rooms for people that are online? Is that a capability, or do we need to keep it in one group, one gigantic?
We could do either, depending on how many folks are online. We could break it up into 1 room, 2 rooms, 4 rooms, just depends on the number. Yep, that's not a problem.
Okay, just sorry to interrupt. Sorry about that.
No, that's a good question. And I think we'll have to make sure there's a way so they're not hearing the conversation in the room at that time, but they can hear each other. So
right.
That's something
that's
we'll
right.
want.
If it's easier to do one large one, because usually we are pretty polite and work very well together as a large. I feel like
you're always polite.
Well, we're always polite, but I feel like we work really well together as a large group. And then sometimes when we do the breakouts, when we come back, we're just trying to spew out what we did in the breakout, and then we never, if that makes any sense, we're like, we did this. I just feel like we never have enough time.
I feel like it's effective when if we have people online and people in person, that all the people online typically are their own group.
That's awesome.
Typically we don't have so many that you'd have to divide them into 2 groups online.
Mm.
And then they can share out easily as one group.
That's a good suggestion.
We'll just have to make sure someone is online helping to facilitate that group. So we'll have to identify, is that me, is it Sean, is it a member of the executive committee? Depending on the activity, we'll just need to make sure that they're all set on their end.
Right, and it depends.
Slideshows that he had given me to go through. So we didn't get to priorities that much. I
Okay.
could be wrong. I
don't
know
have-
we had earlier in the summer, but I didn't think we got to priorities maybe
Okay.
touched upon a brief discussion, but I don't think we got to priorities in September.
Okay.
I was going back through my notes, so I don't think we did priority review.
Okay.
Jen, am I correct?
I really don't remember. Is that terrible?
I know. I'm like, I wish I had the notes, but I can go watch
we
the
don't have-
video.
Yeah,
Oh,
sorry. I
I'm
wish
going
I
to
could
watch
remember.
the
saw
video
you-
too.
I
But I
can see
remember
Sean like writing everything down.
yeah, because Brian gave remember we had all the slideshows and I was flipping
Legislative
through the
slides.
For the
slideshows.
legislative update, I'm like, you can skip this.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah, there's a lot.
Okay, so either
There is a
whatever
lot.
notes, whatever exists, it would be wonderful to have, and then send it out to the full SAC when we send out the agenda
Okay.
and the past notes. That would be wonderful. So I'm hoping people review them ahead of time, and it would be good for our students to kind of know what's going on if we have any students coming.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
know-
I think that it's helpful for them to get things a day or 2 in advance.
Yeah, if this could go out by, say, Friday,
Mhm.
what's that, October 19th, that would be amazing for them.
Yeah, it would. That would be great.
I know typically when we're doing our first working on our priorities thing of the year, we usually do something like, what data do we have? What data do we need? The questions that you've used in the past. I think having guiding questions like that would be helpful. Like Sean, I don't know, is there a time of year where the restraint and seclusion data, if your report is due, and is there a better time of year to get that data from you?
We're in the process of working on that, Jen. With CT SEDS, it's just we're kind of working on that in timelines. So
So it sounds like at least a breakout between folks online and in the room.
Okay.
You want to hit on all of the priorities to summarize them and to kind of pick up where we left off, and then do with the working aspect of this 1, 4, all of the areas.
I remember at the orientation, we kind of ended with, I remember really talking about turning the priorities into a positive spin when we were talking about PBIS. And I feel like we kind of ended the discussion, if that's the last time we talked about it there, if that makes any sense. So I didn't know if we needed to move more on that, because I feel like it was just we all kind of came to the conclusion, how can we do a positive spin and a moving forward on this that's going to help, rather than say, don't do this, say, how about if we do this? This will happen. I feel like we ended on PBIS, but I feel like we're all walking out the door still talking about it. So maybe that priority emphasize.
Getting to recommendations that are proactive for each of the areas, for each of the 4 areas, or did you want to focus on mental health and behavior for this meeting and then a different priority? I'm just thinking about timeline. If we work back, again, the idea is, to help populate the annual report. The annual report this year is due in January. But if we want to get ahead of that timeline, we're already in October. and it really in the initial stages of the discussions around the priorities, although there was a lot of carryover work from last year. So at this meeting, we can take times to do like a 15-minute resetting, reframing all of the priority areas.
Okay, that's
And
great.
then take 45 minutes to at least like to Jen's point, we can have a template where you're working through all of the priority areas. It's just it's hard to it's hard not to move on. So we'll have to be very careful about how and who facilitates this, because you could spend the whole hour on probably one bullet point in one of the priority areas.
Right.
But if our goal is to move the ball down the field for all of the priority areas, it'll have to be a very succinct, very a doable task within the time that we have. But given that we're in person, that helps, I think, or at least a portion of us will be in person. And then we're right now we're at 9:45, probably maybe even 9:30. So it's just a matter of like which order we want this in, but we go to 1 o'clock. So we have, there is a bit of time here, 10, 11, 12, 1, with a little bit of a break in between.
And November's a short meeting, right? And then we don't really have anything in December, am I correct? Is there no meeting in December? So then so it seems like we need to maybe get everybody on the SAC's view on all the priorities, even if it's a quick view. So we have everybody's input. And then I'm assuming the executive committee will be taking over to streamline the executive committee and maybe those two little subgroups to streamline what we need for the report. Because the report needs to be written probably during December. Because it's due January 1st, because nothing happens.
What if we use something like Padlet, where we can break up the priority areas, have the guiding questions, and then that way, if we break up into groups, people can still contribute to the Padlet and the other groups if they wanted to. And if we all worked off of that, then the people online, we would all be working, you know what I mean? We could work on it in person that way and online that way. That's just one way to do it.
Yeah, you're saving that that documentation.
That's one idea.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Anybody else? I think it's wonderful.
Yeah, I like that idea too. I think that's going to be an efficient use of our time.
It would be good if we were able to connect with our students though and make sure that they know how to access Padlet and use it, and if they need help for us to be able to do that ahead of time.
Thank you, Jen.
Yeah, that's a good point, Jen.
Yes. Jolie, do you think that's possible?
Yes.
Thank you.
Am I on?
Are you there?
Oh, I'm just making sure I wasn't muted. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's great. You can make that happen?
Yeah, you guys just send me an email, connect with me.
So with Padlet, we have to figure that out, because there's two ways to access a Padlet. One is a QR code and one is a direct link. So a QR code, you need a phone to access, and then you're typing on your phone. Otherwise, we're going to have to send it out as a link so that people could use their laptops to access it.
We can do both. If you
saying,
guys
yeah,
want to decide on like the questions that we want to put in there, I can set them up if you want, unless you prefer to do it on your end. But like for the webinar we just did, I had a QR code and a link, and it was the same thing.
So
we just have to make sure that the members either have their phones or laptops with them. Everyone, but I'm assuming everyone will have their phone. I don't know.
But the group leader could also do it.
What's that?
The group leader could also work on the Padlet, and everybody would have access to it for later too, if anybody's not able to bring their phone. or their computer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like facilitating the full group.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They can enter the information for the, or they can work, yeah, for the person that does not have the telephone access, do the questions, cause
Okay.
okay, cause
Yep.
I work with CERT to set up a Padlet. So let's see. What's
Can you
easiest for us?
Can you do Padlet on Chromebook for the students? I don't know, because I know Chromebook is limited.
Work. Yep. They would just need internet connectivity.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And do you want, for roundtable, do you want that to happen before or after priorities?
I would say roundtable is a good time to rest your brain, if that makes any sense. It's very, if like, it's usually we do it right around like right before a break, don't we? But we're not having a break, correct? Or we'll have a break to go to the bath, right? Bathroom break.
Yeah, well, we haven't talked about when yet, but roundtable's usually 30 to 45 minutes if everybody shares out. It can be a little shorter, on the 20 to 30 minutes if not as many folks share out, but
And I think it's been shorter now that we moved events to, letting, Jolie, when you send out the reminder for the meeting, can you remind people, right, Jennifer, that you want events are to be shared, that to send them to you instead of during the roundtable?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're adding a note to, yeah, to email their comments, not share it during roundtable, you mean?
No, not the
Comments.
comments, the events.
Not comments. Events.
Got you. Okay, I got it. When they're discussing what events when they start talking about their events during roundtable, you're saying?
Don't talk about it.
Yeah, you're saying you want them,
Roundtable.
they are.
Yeah,
supposed-
Jennifer had the wording in the document that we had at the last meeting.
Yep.
When they were the guidelines.
Yep, I'm just making sure that that's what you're looking for them not to share that information.
Just say like, please share any events ahead of time
Yeah,
Rather
Brian
than
and
roundtable.
Brian and I will
Instead of
get the
during
wording
roundtable.
right for the reminder email.
Yeah,
not
it's
ahead of time, they can do it during the meeting or after the meeting, or
Gotcha.
we'll do a roundtable reminder.
Because then I think it'll be, roundtable will be shortened up then.
Yep, perfect.
It just depends on how many folks we'll have. Let's give it a 30-minute projection. We can come back.
Okay, let's see.
How long of a break? I mean, if this is this council priority review, you want to give
10
60 minutes, 90 minutes?
Oh, I mean, break, like 10-minute break, 60 minutes, 90 minutes. Let's see.
Based on the activities and, in being in person and given, like we have about 15 minutes of an overview, we're going to talk about the work group a little bit and LRE and restraint and seclusion and how that contributes to this. A 15-minute overview, so that you're talking like probably 10:45-ish, and then getting into groups and starting the discussions. I think you want at least 45 minutes for that.
Okay, yeah.
So then you're at, I mean, we do have time. We have until 1 o'clock, just a matter of when you want the break.
Maybe before your report, do you think you want to go straight through?
Yeah, I mean, and I think that this obviously is the priority and where we want to protect the time, right? So even if, I mean, 10:30 to, if we say 10:30 to 12, that gives 90 minutes for all the activities. And then I
So
can
I'll
do.
need between 9 to 10, 10 to 11, 12, I'll need a break before we go into work, before council priority review, if you're doing that 10:30 to 12. Yeah. 10, yeah.
This will be a natural break, like before just for the transition, like, you know, there'll be some at least stretching and moving around the room and
Okay.
moving around virtually.
Okay.
So we'll have a little bit of a break between roundtable and council priorities, and then a little bit of break, and then we'll take it to the house at 1 o'clock.
Okay.
I think that sounds good. So we have some work to do on shaping this up a bit, but we have a nice kind of outline. If the executive committee, like if you want, Sean and Jolie and I can take a first crack at the questions and or structure of the Padlet document to help to facilitate. And then if you want to provide any feedback electronically, we'll incorporate that. And Jen, you said you could create the Padlet, so we won't have to reach out to Circ to create them.
I have the ability to do it, but if you need to do it through them, that's fine.
Well, if that's whatever saves you, if that saves you a step, we can definitely ask Circ.
Either
Cool.
way is fine.
Okay.
Just let me know.
All right.
Okay.
Any other thoughts or last minute suggestions, ideas?
No.
I think it looks good.
Got a good plan.
Great. So are we now on membership matters? Paraeducator flyer printing and distribution.
Okay. Well, I need to create a flyer with my committee first before it can be, printed and distributed, Susan. So
I'm just looking, I'm looking at the agenda.
So the committee will meet soon and we'll have a draft ready, hopefully the next couple of weeks. Okay, how does that sound?
Just white out legislator and then just put.
That's kind of what I was thinking, yeah. Okay, perfect.
That would work. I'm thinking too, like we'll blast out to the directors.
Okay.
We'll reach out to the Para Advisory Council as well, and just let them know that we're looking for interested candidates. Are we thinking that they would submit a survey, just like like parent members and so forth? Yep.
Yeah.
So
I think they should do that.
I'll make sure I'll have a link to the survey for those
Thanks.
interested folks. And then with the contact information, we'll use your contact information, Catherine.
Okay.
I think that'll drum up some interest, certainly that.
Yeah.
We do have to be mindful of the shortage, but that's true for, many of the roles on our council. So hopefully, and we do want to make a point that it is an actively working paraprofessional working with students.
In special
Yeah.
education.
In special education.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jen.
It's funny, you took the words right out of my head because I was just about to ask you to make sure you specify that when you blast it out.
Yep, will do.
Great.
Thank you.
Anything else, Ms. Catherine Sung?
That's it at the moment for membership matters. Just looking forward to filling the few vacancies we have. So hopefully that'll get done soon.
Thank you. Thank you. You're always working hard on that. And I think, Jeff, we already did your legislative.
Yep.
Okay, awesome. So I think what we haven't done yet is quickly, we were supposed to set up our future meetings. Do you want to do that now, or do people have to leave? Do you want to do that, Jolie, over email?
We usually look for the same dates. I can do it over email,
Okay.
whatever you guys prefer. Even the next, I do have us scheduled. I have a, let's see. I want to say I
November?
have, yeah. I want to say I have a, let's see. I have it scheduled for November 15th. So we can always carve out a few minutes to do it then. It's up to you because we don't meet in December. Or did
Right.
you want, yeah, or if you want to work through email, whatever you guys choose.
If you wanted, is it okay to push it to the next one, or I know people have really busy schedules, so I just wanted to make sure.
Because if we do it in November, we still have a month before we start, so.
Right, because we've got executive session, we've got executive meetings scheduled through January, so this would just be for our February through May.
Yeah, I think we could wait until November.
Yeah,
I have
Brian, was
the time for November 15th is 12 noon, right?
Yes,
Okay.
that's what I have, and then,
I don't think we have one. We have one scheduled
you
for
sent-
January. Yeah, 1/3.
January
Oh
3rd.
gosh. Yeah, yep, January 3rd. We're
At
pretty
9
much, I
a.m.
would say November's fine, Susan,
okay, all right.
to
then we'll just
schedule
put
the
that
rest
on
of them.
the
So,
agenda.
yep. I'll put it on the agenda for November 15th.
And then we haven't set up the timeline for the annual report. Do
I
we
can
have the
put that-
old timeline?
Why don't I
Timeline
send
was-
you all a draft of a timeline,
Okay,
like the same template we used last year?
okay.
Sounds good.
Just kind of spacing that out, and what's the ideal aggressive date for finalization, do we want to say? I know we're working ahead of the required timeline, but we'd want to have it for our January 17th ideally, right? The legislative breakfast and that full SAC meeting, so we could try to work back from that date.
For me personally, I don't know if this is possible, but I would love to get it done by the first week of December, because then the following week is the 15th it ends. Or do you guys want to put the December 15th? Because I know people are so busy.
Mhm.
Do you mean to have it finalized or for the
Yeah,
draft?
have it finalized by the 15th of December.
I'm all for getting it done.
Me too.
Yeah,
Because after that, you're in the holidays.
yeah.
What's on the
Mhm.
15th of December?
It makes sense. Working back
Final-
for, oh, sorry, Susan, go ahead.
Sorry, Jeff just asked, the final annual report draft, the final draft, is that too late for us to get it to you, Brian?
No, it's not too late for us.
Okay.
Yep.
Because I didn't know if state offices were, closed at a certain point or. Okay, because January 1st comes quick.
Mhm.
And then we were going to do some sort of training, just so that we all were working off the same document and we didn't, like last time we had multiple copies.
I don't know
That's-
that we need training. I think we just need to make ssure we're all working off of the same document, because I'm not sure
Yeah.
how,
Right.
like, the executive committee was somehow working on a different one,
Doc.
a different copy.
Mhm.
It was as if everything that we had worked on wasn't being translated to your.
We'll send a version that we can share to everybody and just keep it a shared doc.
Yep.
Right.
I
And,
think there was
Brian-
just issues with working, maybe some of the versions weren't worked on once you download it, off of the OneDrive. If it was downloaded anywhere, it wouldn't be a shared document anymore.
And Brian, what worked best for our group is we met a couple of times as a group after everyone had put their parts in, and we cleaned up stuff and worked on the document at once. So I don't know if that's something you could put on your timeline, like final executive committee review.
Yeah.
We really got a lot done.
Mhm.
And Nachi was a superb typer. And he's not on right. Is he? Nachi, you still on?
He's there.
Yes.
Sounds like
Yes,
she's
it's
nominating
not
you.
Nachi would take our thoughts and make them sound brilliant.
Yeah, you were great, Nachi.
Uh-oh,
not
it sounds
good.
ominous.
And Jeff was very, very helpful clarifying things too.
All right, guys. Thanks for being so productive today. I'm sorry I was a little late.
That's all right. We volunteered you for all sorts of stuff. You're making all the snacks for the LOB meeting. I'm
Oh, I
kidding.
can't wait to get the email that tells me that.
Muffins, Jeff.
All right, guys. Are we done? Motion to
So
adjourn?
make-
Yeah.
Motion
Oh,
to
sorry.
adjourn.
Yes. Everybody good? Okay.
Yeah.
I'd like someone make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I'll make it.
Okay. A motion, a second?
I'll second it.
All right.
Okay,
Kathy,
meeting is adjourned at 12:17 PM. I'm writing that down, Jolie, in case you don't.
Thank you.
All right, thanks,
Bye, guys.
everybody.
Everyone.
That was a lot of
Bye.
work.
Very nice seeing
Thank you,
Have a
everybody.
good afternoon.
Thank you,
you.
Brian. Thank you, Sean. Thank you,
Bye-bye.
everybody.